evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 22nd race of the season for the Soda Guys Cup Series as we are here live in the Irish Hills of Brooklyn, Michigan at the 2 Mile Michigan International Speedway, getting ready for 120 laps of high-speed action. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Samuel Dyer. And Sam, how about this front row? Penske Racing is going to sweep the top two spots.
Yeah, I think we're not surprised by who got pole, and that's going to be Boyd Hogan. But second place is Chad Gooney's been, it's been a while since we've seen this 22 up front and challenging in the top five, and it's going to be good to see this 22 finally up there.
Michigan is going to be the fourth to last race of the regular season. So definitely going to be a bit of a wild card race. Somebody might be able to get up there and take a checkered flag, putting them into the playoffs. And we talked about this week after week. There's a lot of names still down there just around or below the cut line that could be able to be up in contention for this championship, but they have to make it into the playoffs. Vincent Arthur, Joseph Piscota, Larry Reed, they're all in the field tonight. Brendan Burkroff, who we saw go to victory lane last night in the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series at Road America. He's had some speed. Dalton Collins in the 27 as well. So there's a number of drivers, about half a dozen drivers down there that we could see go to victory lane here today, put themselves up into a playoff spot.
Yeah, Michigan's kind of known as one of those wild card races where it's all about fuel mileage, conserving your tires the best that you can, and really just having a fast car. And with it being an open setup league, those setups have been worked on a ton this week.
Obviously, one thing we talked about as well coming into this race that we were noticing during practice was the overcast conditions. And so obviously with the overcast all during practice, looks like there's still some overcast here as the field's getting ready to roll off the grid on pit road. That says to me more gripping. So, Michigan's known for pack racing. Are we going to see a lot of drivers up each other's gearbox, or will they be able to get themselves kind of organized and settled out into a long green flag run?
Yeah, these guys actually going to be probably racing around each other side-by-side action for most of this race. And then once you get about 20 or 25 laps into a run, that's usually when the tires start to fall off. And then you start to see drivers getting more in a single file formation. And if you still have tires at that point, you'll be trying to make some passes. But a lot of these cars, probably for about after lap 15 to 25, and we'll start to see single file racing for quite a while. But these first couple of laps are going to be interesting because everyone's going to be trying to gain as much as they can. So we might be seeing cars going anywhere from 3, 4, maybe even 5 wide around here at Michigan.
And these drivers, they're going to be carrying an awful lot of speed here with it being 2 miles in length. So with it being open setup, we're going to see a lot of drivers initially want to set up their car somewhat loose. So if we do go into a long green flag run, as that car begins to tighten up, it doesn't tighten up enough that they're going to have to fight it off of turns 2 and 4 and maybe slide up into the wall. And some new looks here for this Penske Racing front row as well. The black and orange on our winner from 8 times this season, Boyd Hogan, and the red and white on the number 22 of Chad Gunisman.
Yeah, these guys are rocking some pretty good schemes. And like we were saying about the weather, outside temp right now is 80 degrees. The track temp, 85. That is probably the lowest that we've ever seen this whole entire season. We're used to seeing drivers racing out here on track temps anywhere from 90 to about 120. So it's going to be nice for these drivers to race on something a little bit cooler here with 85-degree track temp.
Drivers now heading into turn 3, so let's quickly talk tires. These drivers have 4 sets available, including the ones that they are starting this race on. How abrasive is Michigan going to be on these tires for these guys? Is it going to be a tire strategy race?
It's going to be a completely tire strategy race. It's looking like these drivers can go for about 2 pit stops during this race, so it's all going to be saving those tires until around lap 40 when you're going to have to come in. Like I said, lap 15 is going to be that marker where we might be seeing drivers finally single file up, but right now, Boyd Hogan finally getting their green flag out in the air here at Michigan.
And a stack up on that top side is James Love. I don't know if he got too good a jump and almost got in the back of the 22, or if he was caught napping. That inside line is formulated there with Hogan. It's the 27 of Collins, and I believe that was also, yes, it was Spencer Tart in the 10 machine running a special scheme this week, a different scheme as well.
Oh, there they go. A couple of cars going around. Ty Cole looks like he was the one that went through the inside, able to save it. Oh, no, spins around back onto the track.
Caution's going to come out for the first time here, as we didn't even get half a lap put in before the caution flies on the first lap of this race.
Looks like there was a little bit of contact made with Ty Cole and another machine. I think that's the 15 car that came down. that hit and made contact. Yeah, it was the 15 and the 34 that made contact off of 2, and that was because of being loose.
It would be James O'Brien, who we saw a couple of weeks ago bring it home with a top 5 run. I want to say it was back at Pocono. Nope, I'm sorry, it was Kentucky where he finished 4th, and there you see the contact there. And that's the one thing about these restarts as well. You mentioned about them 3, 4, maybe even tempting the waters of 5 wide. With these drivers all in close proximity on these starts and restarts, they're going to be fighting for every position possible.
Yeah, I mean, at that start, going through turns 1 and 2, we already saw cars going 3 wide. You had Caden Rush as well, as I believe it was the 88 machine of James Love and the 24, but on our telemetry number 10 of Vincent Arthur.
As you can see that 3 and almost 4 wide formation here ahead of Ty Cole is who we saw there after the or just before the contact between James O'Brien and Ty Cole. The 24 of Vincent Arthur up ahead, getting a little loose on that inside line, which almost makes me wonder if maybe we're going to see our race leaders when they get ready to take the green. They may choose that outside line. Looks like there's a little lack of grip on corner exit on that bottom side.
It's most of the grip that you're going to be losing a lot of is on your entry. Again, if you get too low, it's going to cause you to get loose. But a lot of these cars, like you stated at the start of the broadcast, they're going to want these cars to be loose. And it looks like we actually have a couple of machines in the pits right now. And one of the cars that was up front, Caden Rush decided to come in and getting some repairs done or packing his car full of fuel.
Rushes in, James O'Brien, Brendan Burcroft in the 4 machine came to pit road. We're looking at the Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet out of Hendrick Motorsports of Joseph Piscota. Now he comes into this race still in the hunt to get up into the playoffs after last week. The gap between himself and teammate Vincent Arthur was single digits. It's still 5 points coming into this one between himself and the 24. Piscota, the one that's on the outside looking in. Another driver that was on pit road as well is the 96 of Ty McWhirter, and he is the defending winner here at Michigan. This is the 2nd time this season that we have come to Michigan International Speedway, and McWhirter picked up his first win of the season, locking himself up a playoff spot here a couple of months ago.
Yeah, and just looking at these drivers right now, I'm interested to see with the drivers that decided to come in, get themselves some fuel. I don't think anyone took tires this early. It's just too early to use their tires, just because they're only, like you said, starting with 4 sets of tires, 1 that they start off during the race, and 3 that they can change into. And once again, Piscota, Rush, and also Burcroft coming into the pits again.
And this could be strategy. Get yourself about 1-2 laps better on fuel, just in case this thing goes into a long green flag run. And of course, with it being a 120 lapper, these drivers have to, I think Piscota actually just missed his pit stall, but what these drivers have to do, I know some of them have crew chiefs that are doing spotting and running the numbers for them, but this is one of these kind of races where they're going to have to kind of calculate from the end of the race back to the beginning of the race.
Yeah, I think right now what you're seeing from these guys, strategy, like you stated, but also they're going for that fuel mileage. If they can pack as much fuel before they need to go, they might be able to turn this from a 2-stop race to a 1-stop if we go green all the way to the end.
See the 27 up here of Dalton Collins, and last week Collins made himself or actually I should say 2 weeks ago, he ended up making himself very well known in terms of up at the front of the field, where he ended up finishing at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway in the 3rd position. And then last week at the makeup race of Indianapolis, he went to victory lane. So Dalton Collins, because of that victory, he is now up in a playoff spot. And that just says to me that we're going to see this 27 for the remainder of the regular season be more and more aggressive.
Boyd Hogan is going to lead us to the green here on this next restart. He said that he was nervous about having Dalton Collins back. Dalton Collins has been something that has been a driver that's been good throughout his whole entire time here on iRacing, and with a fantastic start here for the 27, pushing the 2 car and moving himself into the 2nd position.
Almost literally pushing him, as there was very little daylight between the back bumper of the 2, the front bumper of the 27. We'll see here coming out of turn 2 if these drivers will be able to make it without anybody having some issues or spinning. Looks like so far so good, as right now the best battle looks like it may be for third place, as Collins I thought might take a peek on Boyd Hogan into turn 3, but instead it's a couple of Ford Mustangs, Tart on the bottom and Gundesman on the top.
And Tart on the inside, really getting a good run. And just to let you know, there are some cars out here. They're going to have different numbers on their cars compared to our telemetry. There was just something funky that happened during this race, so hopefully that will be changed by next week. But at the moment, Tart, boy, making a hard charge to the lead.
Definitely is, as he's going to get to second place at least, maybe, on Dalton Collins. Kind of pushed up there off the corner. That outside line is going to be the line that gets the better corner exit onto the straightaways. As you see, Collins is going to clear for second, but I think this is actually smart on the part of Spencer Tart, because use those fresh tires while you've got them to make that inside line work.
And we're going to be seeing also the 21 of Justin Carey back here in 8th place, trying to make some moves forward, where you've got Jenkins as well as Love side by side for that 6th position. Justin
Carey has maybe one of the most visible cars out there on the track. The green, two different shades of green on his number 21 out of Wood Brothers Racing. And Justin Carey is looking for a little bit of luck here, because he is locked into the playoffs. He's 156 points to the good, but we just haven't seen quite the performances out of him in the last 3 or 4 weeks, as opposed to back when we were at tracks like Charlotte and Kansas.
Yeah, I'm just watching all these cars up front, as it looks like we're almost 3 wide back here for 4th. Well, we're just seeing Collins sticking to the back bumper of that 2, and he's been right there since we've gone and started this next restart out. It looks like Gunsman almost drifted up into Vincent Arthur, but able to hold on to that 22 machine.
That last lap was led by Spencer Tart on the inside line, but 1/2 lap later, he finds himself falling back to the 3rd position. 24, Vincent Arthur up here in the Drive to End Hunger colors on his Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet this week, and we talked to him last night when he brought it home in the top 3 at Road America in the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series, and he was saying there were a number of tracks down the stretch here that he was looking forward to coming to try and make sure he was going to be in a playoff spot. And if I recall correctly, he ran here here at Michigan last time we were here as well. I want to say he was up inside of the top 10, might have been the 6th position. I'll have to look back and find out, confirm that.
But man, this front pack though, they're running hard, and I'm just watching right now. That's going to be Jacob Shorba in the 38 machine trying to make his way forward up to 9th now. Also Greg Newsom in that 3 machine up to 10th. These cars back here trying to make as many bold moves as possible, but it looks like Justin Carey might have lost his momentum and now drifting back outside of the top 10, back to 12th place.
And you talked about the fact that it's going to be very much a tire strategy type race, so these drivers having to kind of figure out when's the time to push, when's the time to conserve, because we're going to definitely see some comers and goers the longer this run goes on.
Yeah, I was kind of nervous for Spencer Tart. He was running that super low to the yellow line type of corners, and you can do that if you have the right setup. You can really run that low and make it work. As now we're going to be seeing Collins going down to the apron, and that's an area that you can go down to. It is free game to be on the apron at that part, because there is no yellow line there. Double yellow line, I should say. But with Tart, he was running so low that you actually are hurting your tires more by running that low compared to the drivers that are running the middle line.
Really curious, because we kind of had a pan-out view of the drivers going through turn 4 onto the front straightaway, and we saw the 27 of Collins, as you alluded to, going down to that apron, which is legal, but he was about halfway down that front straightaway, and he hit something. I don't know what, but I saw the back rear suspension of that car bounce up into the air.
Yeah, it's when he crosses the line here at the middle of the front straightaway. There's just a bump there that will launch your car up and come down and actually scrape the front splitter just a little bit. It's not going to cause too much damage for the 27, but it's one of those areas that it looks visibly dangerous, but it is actually not hurting the car at all.
Collins into second, Tart firmly in control of third, then Arthur and Love right now, a couple of Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolets. I believe they're both running stars and stripes on their respective schemes here this evening. They're now up into the top 5 and 4th and 5th. 47 of Oscar Jensen back here. couple of weeks ago, we talked about the fact that the playoff cut line kind of got moved down, and that moved Oscar Jensen from outside of the top 16 up into a playoff spot. And it just seems like that was what put the little bit of a skip in his step. And this 47 has been performing really well in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it last week on how Oscar Jensen's been just consistently getting better and better each week. And we're just wondering when he'll be able to crack and get into the top 3 and possibly go for a win here. And this 47 machine, he's someone to really watch out for once playoffs come around, just because of the consistency that he's been showing.
Now, we've seen them side by side, 3 wide up here towards the front. The thing that I'm noticing right now, though, is even though we're seeing these double and 3 wide formations, not a whole lot of passing is being able to be done. Because Ty McWhirter back here in the 13th position, he is the highest running driver right now that came to pit road and took on fuel, topped off the fuel tank. And so far, I think he's only made up maybe 1 or 2 spots on the racetrack.
Yeah, here in Michigan, it's really about how your momentum is kept. And if you're able to keep your momentum, you can really hold your spot. But if you lose your momentum, you're going to be losing positions. That's usually how you're able to get passes, is if a car in front of you makes a mistake, better than if you have better tires or fuel, which I'm pretty sure everyone out here is still running the same amount of tires. It's just the fuel window is slightly different compared to everyone else.
Justin Carey continues to free fall as he was up inside of the top 10, and he's about to fall to the 15th position. That's the bright yellow number 42 of Tom Drayling, trying to look to the inside to take that 14th position away. Further up towards the front, the battle continues to be for the lead. Boyd Hogan, Dalton Collins. Oh, did we have a car spin? Nope, it's just Oscar Jensen going down utilizing that apron, but out of the corner of my eye, looked like a car might have been darting down there, not intentionally.
Yeah, that was probably one of the more aggressive darts to the apron that we've seen all race long. Usually it's kind of a gradual thing where the drivers will get down to the apron and then come back up. Oscar Jensen, right off of 4, just ducked it right onto the apron as soon as he had the chance. So you're going to have different strategies from different drivers and when they want to go down there. And based off of those bumps, it could be affecting the tires just a little bit more than what these drivers were expecting. So that's why not a lot of other drivers are staying, going down there, but trying to stay on the track surface and all just trying to follow suit and stay in the draft so they can stay with all the cars that are around.
You know, it's interesting, as I said, this is the second time that we're coming to Michigan this season, and so I looked back to see about some of the drivers that finished well here back in the first Michigan race to see if maybe they double down and leave Michigan a second time with good runs. We got Boyd Hogan out in front. He finished second here back in the first Michigan race. Vincent Arthur up here in 4th. He finished in 3rd last year, and Spencer Tart right now in the 3rd position. He finished top 5 and 5th here the last time that we were here. So this I guess was kind of an opportunity for drivers that really like their setup back in the first Michigan race to just maybe tweak it a little bit or come with the same identical setup here for the second Michigan race.
Yeah, there's been just slight changes here or there with the setup since the last time these guys have ran. The tire compounds actually have been switched up a little bit to where actually the tire drop-off isn't as aggressive as it once was comparatively. So these drivers, they might have stayed with the same setup. At the same time, they might have tried to tweak it to where those tires will actually last even longer than what they used to previously.
There's a couple of areas on the track where we've got a pack of race cars. This is 13th on back. Justin Carey, Brendan Burcroft, Tom Drayling, Chris Noble, and Ty Cole. And then up ahead of them, you've got a group of cars being led by Jacob Shorba. He's got Greg Newsom, Chad Gunisman, Ryan Strunk back there, as well as our points leader, or overall points leader, the 11 of Taylor Butcher Benjamin.
I'm looking at Oscar Jensen's car. It looks like this 47 machine might have brushed the wall at some point in the last couple of laps, because that 47 machine has a little bit of front left damage.
We'll see how that affects Oscar Jensen for the remainder of this race. And yeah, you can clearly see the damage.
Oh, Chad Gunzelman almost completely lost it off of 4, able to save that 22 machine.
All of a sudden, we're seeing that car start to kind of go south in terms of the handling as well. Gunisman started this race from the outside of the front row. He is just now fallen outside of the top 10 back to the 12th position.
And it's around that window I was talking about, from about 15 to 20, 25. These tires start to fade away, and actually you'll feel the looseness of the car just snap on you So these drivers have to be extremely careful just because it's around that window when your car might snap on you randomly.
Yeah, it's a case of the front end won't turn and the rear end wants to. And so while you're trying to jerk the wheel to get that front end to turn so you don't hit the wall, the rear tires are saying, okay, we're turning, but it overturns. And that's why we're seeing a lot of these drivers have that somewhat loose sensation, especially off of turn number 2. We're looking up here at the 96 of Ty McWhorter getting around Taylor Butcher Benjamin. So he's now starting to make some pretty good forward progress. He's gotten around Gunisman. He's now past the 11, and he's about to get up here and pass Greg Newsom, which would move the 96, the former winner from Michigan, up into the 9th spot.
Yeah, I mean, I know you were talking about how these drivers that pitted, maybe they should be charging up a lot quicker. But you also got to remember, most of them actually didn't take tires. A lot of them just came in for fuel or to fix up any damage that they had caught in that first run or so. A lot of these guys were deciding, hey, I'm going to go for fuel. So it makes sense why they're not charging up the field as fast as you'd think that they would with fresher tires.
And to pit road comes our Sonoma winner, Caden Rush, who was one of those drivers that topped off the fuel tank under our only caution up to this point. Is this a little bit early for the 00 to be coming to pit lane?
It looks like it is slightly early for the 00. The furthest I've seen some of these machines go previously was probably for about 45 to 50 laps. So it's a very early for this 00 to come in, but he's taking tires, getting fuel, and going to be getting back out there. The only issue is that he will not have any drafting help to work with here. So Caden Rush is going to be all on his lonesome to try to figure out how to get speed out there, but it looks like deciding his race is done has just disconnected from the server.
Wow, so Caden Rush, who had a great qualifying effort. Whoa, we got a spinner. Spencer Tart is around. James Love as well, right on the back straightaway in front of the field.
Oh no, contact to the 42 machine as well of Tom Drayling.
So a multi-car incident here on the back straightaway. Looks like Drayling may have gotten the front end of James Love's 88.
And
that would have been up inside of the top 5, I do believe, a battle around the 4th position.
Yeah, that was a battle for 4th or 5th position at the moment, and that is just some hard racing. It actually all started on the entry of turn 1 as those two were battling it out, and then that contact finished off, exiting off of 2.
And you said this is around the time where drivers, the handling starts going away on the longer run. Drivers starting to formulate a plan of maybe when to come to pit road to alleviate the pressure of trying to fight these race cars. And there you see the contact. Looked like Oscar Jensen, the 47, might have gotten just a tiny piece of that. And right there's the shot from Tom Drayling into the 88 of James Love as well.
Yeah, for Jensen.
Well, a number of drivers.
Was really looking. Jensen actually was able to slightly avoid that somehow. I think there was a little bit of net code that allowed the 47 not to get contact in that accident. The damage that he has, though, is from previous contact against the wall.
A number of drivers who had come to pit lane to top off the fuel tank had not made up very much progress, had just kind of been mired back there towards the rear of the field, had lost out on quite a bit of track position. As you alluded to, though, everybody's still on the same tires since they started the races. Ooh, a little bit of mistake there for Dalton Collins. That premium motorsports car overshooting his pit stall, but you know, I was noticing guys like Joseph Escoda back there. Also, I think it was Brendan Burcroft was kind of mired back there. James O'Brien, drivers that we know are fast, just mired back in traffic. It'll be interesting to see what they're going to be able to do now with everybody being bunched back up again under this caution.
I'm looking back to see what happened to Ryan Strunk, because it looks like he only came in for fuel, did not take any tires for that 77 machine, so that's going to be an interesting stop for him. Also looks like Larry Reed might have missed his pit stall, as he did not come into the pits and drove all the way through.
And looks like the Richard Childress racing cars may have gone with fuel only as well. Greg Newsom's going to come out in 3rd, and his teammate Chris Noble is going to come out in 7th place.
Taking another look to see if Newsom... Looks like the 3 machine did as well, only take fuel and then got back out there. So that's just showing you that these drivers feel like they need to be out there. They need to be out there and have better track position, expecting there to be another caution here soon, just because of how close and how aggressive these drivers are on these restarts.
You know what also could be strategy of? Just in case we end up having a couple more cautions, guys like Ryan Strunk, Greg Newsom, Chris Noble, they might have an extra set of tires waiting for them if we end up having a late race restart.
Yeah, I mean we've seen that previously at other racetracks where drivers actually did not have the sets that they wanted for the final restart of the race, and they actually lost positions due to that. So you always have to be thinking, okay, if a caution comes out at this point, or if it comes out a little bit sooner or later than that point, when do I want to take tires, and when do I need to save them for later on in the race?
Well, the driver that really lost a lot there on pit road because of that overshooting of his pit stall was Dalton Collins. He's going to be restarting this race from the inside of row 3 in 5th, behind Vincent Arthur, Boyd Hogan, Greg Newsom, and Ryan Strunk. That is your top 5. 6th is going to be Chris Noble, followed by Ty McWhirter, Chad Gunisman, Justin Carey, and Jacob Shorba. Looks like the 21 drivers that are still on the track are all going to be on the lead lap when we go back green. Larry Reed is just now finishing up his pit stop. James Love was on pit road over a minute to repair damage on his 88. And as you alluded to, Caden Rush right now, the only driver out of the race, will finish in 22nd position.
And it looks like we are getting ready to go green once again, and it's going to be Ryan Strunk and Greg Newsom, your front row, as pace car rolls off. We're going to be getting ready to go green.
Spire Motorsports Chevrolet and Richard Childress Racing Chevrolet as the green flag comes out. And normally, when we're at tracks like this, you normally have somebody indicate to the person behind them, hey, I'm going now, push me. But that time, Boyd Hogan never was to the back bumper of the 77, and in turn on the top side, Vincent Arthur was never to the back bumper of Greg Newsom.
Yeah, I mean, these drivers are going to have different calls, but right now, Greg Newsom and Don Collins making a little bit of contact there off of turn number 2 and continue to push forward. With these drivers not taking tires, they're going to be so much slower off the exit and entries into these corners compared to everyone else on track. So this 77 and the 33, the 3 need to be careful out here racing around all the other drivers with fresher tires.
Closing rate's going to be incredible, and Dalton Collins, who lost a number of spots on pit lane due to a pit road miscue, he is trying to rebound from that in only 2 laps. He's back to the front, swinging around Boyd Hogan for the top position.
And then behind them, it's all the Hornets' nests. They're 3 wide action back here for around 7th and 8th place.
Justin Carey, that's Ty McWhirter in the middle. Gunisman's going to stick him there with Ryan Strunk up on the top side. Oh, it's at the 15 of James O'Brien there in the middle as Strunk continues to free fall. Jacob Shorba, that 12 machine stuck in the middle. Ty Cole is there. Brennan Burcroft is there. And they're all leaning on each other down the straightaways.
And it's Shorba who's just being brutalized right now by O'Brien. And they are trying to get everyone single filed up, but it's so hard when you're so wadded up like this to make any move. You kind of feel boxed in where you're at, and once you finally get free, then you start to take off, and then you're boxed in again. So all these drivers trying to move forward the best they can, they're just feeling stuck at the moment.
Just the difference of 20-lap-old tires. Ryan Strunk, 3 laps since going green, has dropped from the race lead back to the 15th position, so he is dropping like a rock as here side by side for 7th. That's Jacob Shorba on the top side. James O'Brien on the inside line. Right now, both the premium motorsports cars having decent runs with Collins out in front. As soon as I say that, here comes Boyd Hogan for the race lead. And O'Brien up there in the 7th position.
Yeah, you got Hogan trying to make this pass. Not able to get it done. Not getting any type of help on the inside. And all the drafting help goes to the 27 on the outside. But here it comes.
Where'd Justin Carey come from?
So Justin Carey was in front of that pack of battling cars from 6th on back, so they all slowed down because they were all so much side by side. Justin Carey used the draft, and now is going to be trying to make a move for 2nd.
And don't look now, here comes our former Michigan winner. Ty McWhirter says it's time to go in that Gaunt Brothers Racing 96.
And also you got James O'Brien as well as Guzman finally back up here. Vincent Arthur is going to be trying to make it 3 wide for 2nd place in the 24 machine.
It's going to be if he can get any drafting help down the back straightaway here to keep that momentum into turn 3. Here we go. 24 on the bottom, 21 in the middle, 2 on the top side. And Dalton Collins has some decisions to make. Which line does he try and block? Which line's going to have the run?
This is the one thing, once you get 3 wide up front, it causes everyone else in the pack to finally start to group back up. And so that's what we're starting to see here. But Collins has got a lot to carry on the bottom.
And we were almost 4 wide back there around the 7th position with Tart, O'Brien, Ty Cole, and I think that was Chad Gunnisman there. Ooh, might have been a little contact there between the 34 and the 15 through turns 1 and 2.
The 10 of Spencer Tart was taken out earlier this race with James Love, but he is coming back with a hard charge up to already back to 10th place. And that 10 machine trying to make some moves back forward. Right now, trying to make the inside line work.
Was 3 wide for the lead going into 3. Oh, little contact maybe between McWhirter and Carey, who got out to first and second. Dalton Collins says, I'm having none of this. He backed out of it. Now he's charging back up to the bumper of the 21. Boyd Hogan there, he's trying to get up to the bumper of the 96, and they're wadded up behind them.
And this is what you're going to see, the strength of cars that like dirty air and those that like to be up front. It's the battle for the lead still between McWhirter and Carey. And these are 2 machines that we're not used to really seeing up front. It's always been Collins and it's been Boyd Hogan up front. So something a little different with our front 2.
What is it like from the driver's point of view? On board with Boyd Hogan, taking a look at this side-by-side for the lead, side-by-side for the 3rd position. You got them double wide, 2 rows deep here at Michigan, and now looks like we may end up having them stacked up double wide behind him as well with Ty Cole, Spencer Tart, Brendan Burcroft, and others.
We're expecting to see this type of racing action to continue for the next about 5 laps or so, and then after that, we'll start to see the drivers finally get back into single file action. But it's around this first couple of laps that you're nervous about these cars. Yes, these machines can carry and stick to the bottom. As easy as you're seeing now, Spencer Tart back around 9th place, making some moves on Ty Cole for 8th.
He ran right down on that painted white line through 3 and 4, trying to make forward progress after his spin on the back straightaway. We can still see some damage there on the right front as well as the right rear of his Stewart-Haas Racing Ford Mustang. Other drivers that were collected up in that have not fared quite as well. James Love back still in the 17th position as Dalton Collins looking 3 wide here for the lead. The other driver that was involved in the wreck was, I believe, the 42 of Tom Drayling. He's been able to work his way up to 13th place.
Just on the back stretch, it's gonna be Dalton Collins finally getting back up to the lead, but it's going to be Vincent Arthur on the inside trying to make a pass for second. Not able to do so as Ty McWhirter pushing that 27 car. And here comes Boyd Hogan on the inside, making it 3 wide for 3rd place.
Boyd Hogan is going to...
Oh, contact, no carry.
What a save by the 21.
Able to keep it going, and Vincent Arthur is feeling extremely uncomfortable right now, stuck in that sucker tunnel in the middle.
Now he'll tuck up in front of Jacob Shorba. Between Shorba and the 22 of Chad Gunnisman, Ty Cole pushes up a little there in the center, and now, we're 11 laps into this run. This is when you start to get a little bit nervous for these drivers, because it was, around lap 20 to 25 in the last green flag run that we saw a lot of drivers handling go away, and a lot of them are up here inside of the top 10 that fit that bill on the last green flag run.
Yeah, the last green flag run, they finally single filed up around lap 14 or so into a run. But these guys are still battling 3 wide back here for 7th place. And they're trying to figure out how to single this up, but it's so difficult when you've got so many different cars with their different momentums and speeds entering these corners.
And you've got different drivers with different setups. Some drivers are set up to run the bottom, other drivers set up to run the top, and so everybody's got to find somewhere to be able to run to avoid running each other over, and now it looks like no love for the 10 car on the inside line. Spencer Tart now beginning to fade on the front straightaway.
And that's the one thing, if you start using the inside for too long, your tires will fade off, and that's what we're seeing here now. Up front, still side by side for second, with Ty McWhirter and Carey for 2nd place. But man, it's going to be James O'Brien as well as Boyd Hogan. Hogan now thinking about sticking his nose in there for 3rd place, but says otherwise.
Well, let's remember that a number of these drivers have wins this season, are locked into the playoffs, like the 27 of Collins, the 96 of McWhirter, the 2 of Boyd Hogan. They're up here racing as aggressively as they are because they want another trip to victory lane to continue to rack up playoff points when we get to the end of the regular season.
Yeah, and those playoff points are going to be so helpful trying to get from the next round to round in the playoffs. And right now, these guys are running so hard. Boyd Hogan really feeling comfortable for the playoffs once that starts, but right here in Michigan, it's about saving those tires and making some bold moves. And everyone so far in this in this green flag run and the last one, bold moves in the first about 14 laps of those stints. But we're starting to see drivers not making as many aggressive runs as they once were. Car that's been making a lot of moves all the way from the back now up into the top 10. That's Brendan Burcroft in that 4 machine. He is making some great progress forward, and Carey finally drifting on back.
Yeah, we saw his teammate Spencer Tart in the 10 up here towards the front. He started fading back, but the Stewart-Haas Racing entry that is moving up to the front is that 4 machine who took it 3 wide with Justin Carey and Jacob Shorba just a moment ago. We must update, another driver has gone to the garage area, and that is the 32 of Larry Reed. So he joins Caden Rush in the garage area. And remember those 3 drivers that decided to do the fuel-only pit stop? Ryan Strunk, Greg Newsom, Chris Noble? Yeah, they're running the last 3 cars on the racetrack right now, 18th, 19th, and 20th. So that strategy on the short run definitely has not worked out in their favor. It's going to be interesting to see what their long-term strategy plan was with not taking any tires under that caution.
Well, they didn't take tires on that last caution, and they've been out there for 16 laps on this run. And when the caution came out that last time, they've been out there for about 50-some laps. So these drivers are going to have in the back of their minds, hey, we might have to pit here in the next about 4 to 10 laps or so.
Battle for the lead is on again. It's going to be Boyd Hogan, who was able to get around Ty McWhorter for second. He has reeled in Dalton Collins. You see him pull up there to the left rear quarter panel, trying to slow the 27 speed down the front straightaway, and slingshots beautifully into the lead into turn 1.
And that looked so easy in the 2's car, just watching him drive by Dalton Collins. And Boyd Hogan, really, with all that chaos going around, he was really by himself a lot of that time, just following all the action and letting everyone else be too wide and all over the place. So 2 machine might actually have better tires than Dalton Collins, who we saw at times going anywhere from 2 to 3 wide for most of this stint so far.
Yeah, we saw a couple of times where he could have taken the opportunity to make it 3 wide, but thought better of it and kind of just rode there. So to your point, may have been saving his tires a little bit there. And as the run goes on, we're starting to see that now with his tires saved, he's going to have a stronger long run machine, able to get around the 27. You see Vincent Arthur back here in the 24. Now, the 2 drivers that we focused on last week were Arthur and his Hendrick Motorsport teammate Joseph Piscota, because those 2 came into the race last week at Indianapolis, separated by, I think it was 9 points for that final playoff spot. Well, Arthur comes into this race still in the 16th playoff position, but now only 5 points ahead of his teammate Joseph Piscota. And Piscota was actually running towards the back on that first green flag run, had given up a lot of track position to come down and top off the fuel tank. He is making forward progress as he's in a hornet's nest back here right now in the 11th position, but he can see the top 10 just ahead of him.
Yeah, right now Piscota kind of stuck with the cars that have either a little bit of damage on their machines or drivers that have already used up their tires. And you're seeing the 9 car able to get by Tom Drayling for 10th place, and now has to get by Shorba and Carey, who they've been side by side this whole entire time. Makes sense.
Whoa!
Dip it down. Oh, just grazed the grass. And I want to let you know, Piscota, we'll let the groundskeepers deal with that. You want to keep your car on track there, 9.
Wow, that was a close call there. He was kind of in a bind because I think he wanted to go up the middle 3 wide with Jacob Shorba and Justin Carey. But then when the 21 pushed up, he had to kind of call an audible, turned the car down to the left, and just turned it way too far down, and he nearly went for a ride in the infield grass.
Well, while all that was going on up front, Boyd Hogan's been having a handful. At one point, he had Vincent Arthur trying to charge for the lead. Now he's got Dalton Collins kind of blocking for him. And then you've also got Chad Gunsman, who's finally up here in the 22 machine.
And this is when you start to get nervous with these drivers trying to block each other's momentum, because one little bit of mistiming and you could find a couple of drivers spinning off each other's noses. And yes, there is some runoff here on the back straightaway, and there obviously is the infield grass on the front straightaway, but you could end up on the short end of the stick, and after battling for a spot up here in the top 5, could find yourself on the end of the tow truck hook.
right now, Michigan is probably one of the easier racetracks to save your car if you lose it coming off the corner, just because of how much runoff there is. So luckily there's that. But if you lose it on the front stretch, that pit road wall, it gets very close very quickly. So you don't want to lose it off before. As the battle for first, it is just looking like Collins is trying to do everything he can to get this two machine loose.
This is looking very similar to what we saw last week at Indianapolis, the kind of mono-e-mono battle between Dalton Collins and Boyd Hogan. We remember that the two of them were battling up to the final round of green flag pit stops, and then when we got done with the final round of green flag pit stops, the two found themselves still in the same area, battling side by side, and it came down between those two in the final 5 laps of the race. It's looking like this here. However, the only difference is it's not just a one-on-one. You got Chad Gunisman back there in third, Vincent Arthur in fourth, Ty McWhorter fifth. These guys have shown they've got speed. And how about Brendan Burkroft? You talked about him making forward progress. He's now as high as 6th place. That's the highest the 4 has run all night.
He's at 6th place, and right now just in cruise control. I mean, he was running back around 15th position on the start of this restart, and slowly and methodically he's been passing every single car to get up to 6th place now. And it's been a great run for this 4 machine that has the pace to run up here in the top 5. And I think once he gets fresher tires, because he's been just running these tires down, might be able to get back up there.
So Collins trying to make a move on the inside through 3 and 4. Hogan able to hold him off, keeping the race lead. Now you mentioned about the fact that...
I just want to give an update on cars in the back. Looks like Jacob Shorba had a little bit of internet issues and the server kicked him out. So it looks like the 38 at the moment is about 2 laps down, about to be 3 laps down, but is out of the server.
Well, Jacob Shorba does not run for the Soda Guys Cup Series Championship. He's been running the fill-in duties over at Front Row Motorsports in the 38, was piloting the 12 machine here tonight for Team Penske. So just going out there and logging some laps here at Michigan. But, you know, you brought about the fact of just how abrasive Michigan is on the tires. So what is the main concern for these drivers when we start closing in potentially on green flag pit stops? Is it using the tires as the gauge of when you come to pit road, or what you've got in the tank as far as fuel?
And it's mainly about what you have in the fuel here at Michigan, and the tires is something that you're just going to have to work on throughout the race and how to conserve it. It looks like Dalton Collins able to get back up into first, and Boyd Hogan really not putting up a challenge there, which this is the best way to save your tires in a way. If you see someone that has better momentum than you do, just let him go on by so then you can slingshot or do a crossover move like we're seeing here on Boyd Hogan to get back into the lead.
But you got to be careful not to be too conservative when letting the driver by, because obviously this is a speedway, Michigan International Speedway, but it's very much like a super speedway, and if you lose your momentum, you're going to have a lot of hungry drivers on your back bumper trying to take positions away from you.
Oh, it's going to be terrifying once you see some of these drivers that are going to be just taking any type of advantages they can take, as now we're 2 by 2 for first and also the battle for third.
What's going to be interesting, too, is if we do get to a round of green flag pit stops, you know, a lot of these drivers that are up here from first back to the 7th position of James O'Brien are up here because of the draft. I mentioned the fact this track very much like a super speedway. Well, the draft is a huge factor into staying up with a driver that may be battling for position. Obviously, with drivers side by side, they lose momentum and drivers get big runs on them. The field's going to get pretty spread out with drivers in varying strategies when they all come to pit road. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of packs we're going to have when all is said and done, if we do indeed complete a round of green flag pit stops here today at Michigan.
Yeah, that's the thing with Michigan, though. Some people get this stuck in their head that it is kind of like a speedway, so I can come down here on my own and not really have to worry about it. And other drivers figure it out. Hey, I need to come down with at least 1 or 2 people to keep a pack so that we can have the draft and go faster than what everyone else is. So that's going to be really interesting to see how the teammates work, or if you make friends with people that you really have just been running around and who you can talk to get as many friends and any help that you can.
Well, right now it is the tale of 2 packs. You've got the top 7 up in their own group, and then here is 8th place on back with Oscar Jensen, Joseph Escoda, Justin Carey. And just on the coattails of this group, you got Ty Cole, Taylor Butcher-Benjamin, and Tom Drayling. That's 8th back through 13th. Right now, in terms of lap times, your leader of this group, Oscar Jensen's running 39.8. You got Boyd Hogan leading this group of 7 up further, running 39.7. So a little bit of ground being lost by the second group to the lead pack.
Yeah, and we're coming up to the completion of lap 30 once our drivers come around. And once they come around and get this lap finished, we're going to be about 15 to 20 laps away when we might be seeing some drivers thinking about coming in. And that's when the window will be open for these drivers to possibly make it all the way to the end of this race.
And that's going to be interesting too. I mean, does this mean that the fuel window is open to make it the rest of the way, or that's the furthest they can go on what they've got in the tank, and then they've got to maybe try and save a little bit in the final, what would it be, about 50 laps?
That's the furthest that they can go on this tank, and we'll put them just on the brink of needing to save just a little bit of fuel, possibly about 3 laps or so of fuel to make it to the end. And that's what Michigan always brings are these fuel mileage runs on how to save fuel and make it to the end.
And a lot of times, one of the keys of being able to save fuel at the super speedways is not be out front and cutting the draft for everybody else. So we may see a little bit of cat and mouse here in the closing stages of this race, of drivers trying to make sure they're the ones back there getting draft to be able to save some fuel rather than being out in front and cutting the draft for everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, on the first green flag run that we had, I was watching to see Piscota on how he was saving fuel, and he was running about 4/10 slower than everyone else. But now that everyone's on the same fuel run and strategy, everyone at the moment, it's looking like everyone's running pretty well. But it looks like our 3 drivers that stayed out on the same tires, but it came in for fuel, now coming in this time.
Now, I would assume that these drivers coming in as soon as they cannot make it the rest of the way on fuel without coming to pit road at least one more time before the conclusion of this race.
I mean, it's going to be a miracle for these drivers to make it to the end. They're going to be about 10 to possibly 15 laps short to making it to the end of this thing, just based off the fuel mileage. But, I mean, we also got to keep our eyes out on the fact that if we have another caution, these drivers still have another set of tires. I mean, they now are all on the same set of tires as everyone else.
Great point. And, with what you were saying about drivers, coming to pit road here in the next 13 to 15 laps, I mean, let's say we do have that late race caution. I mean, some of these drivers would be stuck out there with tires somewhere between 25 to 35 laps old. Whereas drivers like Ryan Strunk, Greg Newsom, and Chris Noble, they'd be able to come to pit road and get brand new Goodyears.
Yeah, I mean, they're having 4 pairs of tires for this race, correct?
Yes.
And they count one of those 4 tires as the ones that they start out with. So all of these drivers right now already used. Technically, they're on their second set of tires during this run. They've got 2 more to work with. So if there's an early caution that comes out, most of these drivers will come in, utilize another pair. They've only got then 1 set of tires to make it to the end of this race.
Joseph Piscota and Oscar Jensen at the head of this second pack have been side by side for the last 3 or 4 laps, and they continue to pass and cross each other over. And while they're doing this, they are losing ground to the top 7. So for the moment, it seems like they're content to just try and see who's going to be able to hold down that 8th position, as Justin Carey now throws his name into the ring, pushes up a little bit there, almost into the left rear quarter panel of the Nas Camaro of Jensen, who then in turn almost gets into the right rear quarter panel of Joseph Piscota.
That was almost flashes of our last caution on how we saw James Love and Tart get into one another. These drivers, they got to be careful. They've been out there on those tires for 34 laps, about to be 35 when they cross the line. So they've got to be careful. These tires are worn. You can spin at any moment, and it is terrifying to run these cars right now on this track.
It is the longest green flag run we have had so far in this race, as we worked 2 cautions in the first, I believe it was 40 laps of this race, as they continue to battle here side by side between Piscota and Jensen. A little bit further up at the front, though, I mean, we've got ourselves a little bit of a train here. We got 2 Chevys, 2 Fords with Hogan, Collins, Arthur, and Gunisman, and just barely back there, about a second back, is where you've got Brendan Burcroft, and he's hoping that these guys up here in the top 4 will get side by side so he can get up here and make it a 5-man dance.
Yeah, Burcroft's waiting for something. He's just outside of the draft, but with Chad Guzman running as high as he's been running, it just looks like that car, the tires are starting to fade away, and he needs to run a little bit higher so he doesn't feel like he overturns and overcorrects coming on the exit.
Well, the one thing I would give Gunnisman credit for here, at least on this run, is he is not dropping to the back the longer the run goes on as quickly as he did on the first run. So certainly I think that first run was a little bit of a going to school for these drivers in terms of how the tires were going to be, because let's not forget too, you've brought this up in past broadcasts this past week, the fact that since the first Michigan race to today, there was actually a change to the iRacing tire model.
Yeah, with the old tire model, these drivers would have dropped off for about 2 seconds to almost 2.5 seconds from their best lap times to when they need to pit at the end. Now these drivers are running only about a second and a half off of what their best lap times have been all race long. So the tire drop off really has changed about a half a second each lap compared to what it was before. So these drivers are able to stick with one another a lot better and a lot easier. And it's making it a lot more difficult for Ryan Strunk and Greg Newsom back there that just pitted, because those drivers, they're only running, like I said, about a second and a half, if that, faster than our leaders.
As the laps continue to tick away here on this green flag run, we have crossed the halfway point and are now into the second half of this race as drivers begin to formulate their strategies heading for the checkers. Boyd Hogan is looking for his league-leading 8th win of the season. Dalton Collins looking for back-to-back victories, and Vincent Arthur, Chad Gunnisman up in this lead pack. They're looking for their first win of the season. Could it happen here today at Michigan? We're about 10 laps away from these drivers having to come to pit road for green flag pit stops. So we're going to step aside for a quick commercial break and then be back for the action on pit road as we're going to go FRN side by side. 22 of the Soda Guys Cup Series here tonight at Michigan International Raceway, as we are about 50 laps away from the conclusion of tonight's event. And right now, you've got a new race leader in Vincent Arthur. I mean, we saw just before we went to the commercial break there, Sam, some problems for the two of Boyd Hogan.
Yeah, it sounded like Boyd Hogan over the radio. There was something on his end that came up that caused them to have to drift down and fade to the end of this line. Right now, the two machines running sixth at the moment, still in this front pack, but not where he wants to be. But now we're starting to see lap traffic being a key factor for these lead cars. And you're seeing James Love, even though he doesn't get a front bumper, doing quite well out here with those fresher tires. He just came into the pits for that 88 machine. And right now, within the next 5 laps, anywhere from here for the next about 10 laps or so is the marker for a lot of these drivers. But James Love with no bumper, he's got to be careful getting that close to the 24.
Yeah, I think he's trying to maybe help the 24, his teammate Vincent Arthur, and the guy that has been on the move has been that 4 of Brendan Burcroft. He's had 3 starts this season. Did we have some smoke there for a moment? Was that connection problems? Because that was scary.
James Love blinked out and almost blinked in inside of the 24 machine. And if he did that, one of the 2 machines would have spun out and would have caused the caution there. Luckily, and James Love, after seeing that, decided it's time to back up and get out of there. And it looks like now Brendan Burcroft moving up to second place.
Yeah, Dalton Collins lost some momentum there, having to check up. And here comes Arthur in the 24 to pit road. Also, the 4 of Burcroft is in as well. I was going to mention Burcroft has 3 top 10 finishes in 3 starts this season, has led 12 laps.
And honestly, them coming into the pits, not a bad time to come in. And it's going to put them within 48 laps to the end of this thing. And that is a good marker for these drivers. They know they can make it to the end from here on out. And you came in with a group of drivers, a great call by all the drivers that came in right now. Everyone else on track, though, you're going to be losing time by staying out longer now.
Others on pit road that lap, Justin Carey, Joseph Piscota, Ty McWhirter, and the 20 of Chris Hansen. We're looking at the battle for the lead right now. That's between James O'Brien, trying to become the second premium motorsports driver to lead here today, but did not edge Chad Gunisman at the line, as here comes Dalton Collins, Oscar Jensen. They are on pit road this lap, along with the 42 of Tom Drayling.
And also Spencer Tart came into the pits, as it looks like other cars coming out of the pits. It's going to be Chris Hansen and the 20 machine. And now we're going to be seeing, like I said, from here on out, a lot of drivers coming to the pits. This is their money stop. If we don't have a caution at the end, this could be your final stop of the race.
Chad Gunisman, James O'Brien, Boyd Hogan. We're still waiting for them to come to pit road. Here comes the 22 and the 15. Little surprised that Hogan decided to stay out a little bit longer, because I believe last week at Indianapolis, he stayed out a little bit longer as opposed to Dalton Collins. And Collins, who had about 2 laps fresher tires, was able to utilize that to his advantage to slip on by in the final 3 laps to win that race.
This looked like this was more of a team pick to come in at this time. But as I say that, Boyd Hogan is extremely slow on the pits. He is almost coming to a complete stop in the pit lane, not even in his pit stall. There is something wrong with the 2 machine, because he is just creeping and crawling down pit lane, finally getting to his stall, and I don't know if he disconnected or something.
No, he teleported. He teleported to his pit stall. He had the number 1 pit stall from starting on the pole for today's race, but he was all the way back around, I think it was stall 17 when he came to a stop.
Also, in other news, Jacob Shorba, who was the last car to disconnect from the server, Ashley's now just reconnected and is trying to get back into that machine as quick as possible, as he is right now 27 laps down.
So issues for Boyd Hogan, who finished second here the first time we were at Michigan this season. The guy who finished third is out in front. That is Vincent Arthur, but boy, does he have a challenge from that 4 machine of Brendan Burcroft, who's looking to go for the weekend sweep.
I don't know if there was contact. It looked like there was a little bit of contact between the 4 and the 24 entering turn number 1. But Burcroft, he's someone that we know has some fast pace out here, has one of the fastest lap times put down out of all the drivers for their best lap, with a 37.3 second lap. And there's only about a handful of other drivers that have ran that fast. That's going to be Hogan as well. Actually, Hogan hasn't even ran that fast. That's only going to be Ryan Strunk as well as Piscota that have ran that fast.
And Vincent Arthur right now and Brendan Burcroft, let's not forget, they were two of the first leaders to come to pit road. Well, boy, have they reaped in the benefits of that, and they probably were very aggressive coming to pit road as well, which helped them to gain a 4-second lead back to this battle for the third position, which finds the former Michigan winner Ty McWhirter, Dalton Collins, who's been up in the top 3 all day, and Joseph Piscota now up into the top 5.
Yeah, they had the help from running about a half second faster just by coming in a little bit earlier than the other drivers, as well as they actually ran a full second faster during their whole entire pit stop and coming down pit lane. So that is where that time was gained, and it continues to grow. But as I say that, it's actually starting to dwindle down from the battle from second to third.
Now let's just update some of the storylines here for these final 45 laps. A couple of drivers we know cannot make it on fuel. Ryan Strunk, Greg Newsom, and Chris Noble. Right now they're running 12th, 13th, and 15th. Boyd Hogan, who we saw have that issue there, he is back out on the racetrack, but he is now 19th, one lap down.
And Piscota up to 4th place. It's still incredible to see that 9 machine, after the early different type of fuel strategy than everyone else, after that first caution, dropped him all the way back to the back of the pack. Now is up to 4th place after going green all the way through this last restart.
Yeah, he's having a great run right now. That's the good news. The bad news is the driver that he's trying to reel in to be able to get that final playoff spot is his teammate in the 24, Vincent Arthur, who's out in front. If Vincent Arthur wins this race, he leapfrogs all the other drivers that are currently locked in through points. And what was a 5-point gap from Piscota to the 16th spot in the standings, that drops Spencer Tart down to the 16th spot, and it becomes a 101-point deficit Piscota has to make up with only 4 races remaining in the regular season.
Which would make it almost virtually impossible, but right now Spencer Tart not having the best week, as he's running now back in 18th with heavy damage on that 10 machine, I should say. Spencer Tart, he's running back in 18th position and not looking like he's going to be gaining any more positions than that. Also, update on Boyd Hogan. He is back on track. He's running about a lap. He's 1 lap down. Third car, 1 lap down, by the way.
Brendan Burcroft came into this series filling in at Stewart Haas Racing for Dylan Canova, who started out the year in the 4. And he has done a tremendous job since stepping into that ride. He's a 2-time winner at road courses down the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series, including last night at Road America. So he's looking for the weekend sweep here for Rapid Fire and Soda Guys. And right now, too, if you think about it, he might be Joseph Piscota's best friend, because if he goes to victory lane, yes, that moves him up into the playoffs, but at the same time, it keeps Piscota and Vincent Arthur at least within close proximity to try and get themselves playoff spots as well.
Yeah, and it's going to help points-wise. It's just going to get even more and more intense as the regular season is coming to a close. I mean, we're coming up to, I believe we're less than 10 races to the end of this thing. I mean, less than 5 races.
Oh, yeah, after today, 3 more races left.
So these drivers, it is getting in their heads, hey, I need to be running up front in the top 10, top 5. And sometimes some of these drivers are in must-win situations, and that's what we're seeing here from the 24, who feels like he must win to get himself into the playoffs.
And he is racing like that as well, and I would have to wonder, with how aggressively he is running, trying to make sure he takes away the 4's line, how much is the Brendan Burcroft machine maybe saving back here? We've seen this before, where they put the pressure on the car ahead of them, but at the same time, they're not using up as much tire rubber in doing so, and Burcroft was one of the best cars on the long run before we had that round of green flag pit stops.
Yeah, which is kind of completely opposite of what we were seeing from him having at the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series yesterday, where he had the best short run machine, but not a very good long run. It's just looking like this 4 machine's got an overall fantastic car, but these top 2 are being ran down by Ty McWhirter, Joseph Piscota, and Dalton Collins in those 3 machines, and they are cruising, as at one point they were about 4 seconds back, now down to 1.2 seconds back from our leaders.
They were about 0.3 faster that last time around. This time, half a second to 0.6 faster, as that gap is very quickly dwindling away. So we could have 5 drivers up here in the hunt, closing in on 30 laps to go. Now, while pit stops did benefit a couple of drivers, like Piscota in the 9, One driver that was hurt by the round of pit stops was the 22 of Chad Gunisman. He was up in the top 5 when the cycle of pit stops began. He now finds himself all by his lonesome, mired in the 12th position.
Yeah, Goonsman had a very long pit stop that cost the 22. He had some damage he needed to repair. Also looked like he might have overshot his pit stall that cost the 22 car positions and has dropped him all, like you said, back to 12th place and back around the cars that were on different strategies than the 22 machine was.
Battle for 6th is starting to close up. Oscar Jensen has it. James O'Brien wants it. Those two are in their own little zip code for the moment. And then behind them, you got about 3 or 4 drivers battling for a position. The 21 of Justin Carey in 8th. Taylor Butcher Benjamin right now 9th. Tom Draling in 10th. And 34 of Ty Cole back there with the lap machine of James Love trying to reel in these guys.
Yeah, no, honestly, with how big this pack is, they should be able to gain up to the battle for 6th place. But our lead pack, it is now a 5-car battle because it looks like Vincent Arthur decides it's time for me to drop back as he goes extremely high into turn number 1.
And we nearly had ourselves a caution come out there as Spencer Tart was awfully loose off of turn 4, had to gather that fishtailing number 10 machine back up on the front straightaway.
Yeah, Spencer Tart back there in that cluster of machines from 8th on back, so he's trying to work with them. And to the point, Brandon Burcroft going to be leading a lap here with Joseph Piscotta right behind him in the 9.
It's going to be interesting to see how aggressive Piscotta is going to be here, too, because with the fact of Vincent Arthur being able to be out in front, he's got a bonus point for a lap led. Piscotta's got to get up there and lead a lap himself to counter that, as he and the 24 are in a pretty good points battle for that final playoff position, as he's going to clear the 4 machine. I think that's what's on his mind, is get up here, lead a lap, get that bonus point, and then focus on the rest of the race after that.
And the car running back in 5th behind all these drivers on the freshest tires compared to everyone else is going to be the 27. It might only be 1 lap fresher, but he's running high enough where he's saving those tires. He's not trying to burn off those right rears or right fronts at all, and saving the tires for later on in this run to fight back and go for the lead.
Yeah, and he was riding behind Ty McWhirter and Joseph Piscotta. They were the ones really doing a lot of the work to get that group of 3 up to the top 2. Dalton Collins was just kind of along for the ride. So, yeah, I think he's definitely saving his stuff. We have not heard the last of that Premium Motorsports Chevrolet. As up front, it is Chevrolet and Ford, Piscotta and Brendan Burcroft. And we saw Burcroft be able to make the pass on Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet just moments ago with it being Vincent Arthur out in front. Now we'll see what he can do with the Napa Chevy.
Little update for cars in the back. Jacob Shorba did load it into the server, but decides that he's probably just going to be watching this race and finishing it out that way instead of hopping back in, as that machine is now 41 laps down.
Ryan Strunk, Greg Newsom, we knew they could not make it the rest of the way on fuel. They have come to pit lane for their final stops of the evening. They are both now a lap down in 17th and 18th respectively. We're still waiting for the 8 of Chris Noble to come to pit road. He is the only other driver we know of in the field that cannot make it to the conclusion of this race with what he has in the tank.
Yeah, Chris Noble, the longer he stays out, the more it's going to hurt him in the long run. And that 8 machine, he's trying everything he can, but not looking good to be getting a top 15 finish here today for the 8 of Chris Noble.
Vincent Arthur with a rear deck lid full of Ty McWhirter. We mentioned the fact that McWhirter is the only driver this season that has taken a checkered flag here at Michigan International Speedway. And you gotta wonder, obviously he's got the notes coming into this race, the strategy that worked for him to be able to take a checkered flag, but can you run the same identical strategy, or do you have to change it up, knowing that everybody else that ran here at Michigan in the first race, they've changed up their strategy as well?
At this point, everyone's kind of thrown down their strategy of when to come into the pits. Now it's all about how well are you able to saving your tires and setting yourself up for those final couple of laps when you need to make a charge up to the front. And, if you feel, I don't remember if we have the information on how Ty McWhirter got the win, if it was dominating or if he made a couple of last lap passes, but I've been watching a lot of Michigan races lately in the past week because of iRacing. They actually have their NASCAR iRacing series, otherwise known as NIS, running at Michigan, and a couple of open tracks, open series we're running here at Michigan. And been seeing a lot of drivers making some last lap passes here in all different types of series. So honestly, I don't even think if you lead the lap going to the white flag, even if at that point you still don't have the win completely filled.
Well, I can easily answer that question for you because the first Michigan race, 79 laps were led by Boyd Hogan, who finished second. 13 laps were led by Vincent Arthur, who finished third. Race winner Ty McWhirter only led 3 laps, but was able to take the checkered flag.
So it's one of those things of you never know who can win this thing. And even if you're dominating, it's still not in your hands to say that you're going to get this win.
Well, it's also interesting, too, because Ty McWhirter started that Michigan race all the way back from the 14th position. And we've seen him have to fight his way up through the field, going back to when he and a number of others on the first caution came down pit road to top off the fuel tank. They had to make forward progress from the rear of the field, all that track position that they gave up. So Ty McWhirter doing the exact same thing again here, only the second time at Michigan.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see as it looks like Ty McWhirter up to third place and making a little bit of a charge up here to possibly challenge Brandon Burcroft for that second position. But the way that our top two kind of just pulled away from everyone else, I'm kind of nervous for their tires in the last 20 laps. How well will those tires hold up as here comes Ty McWhirter?
McWhirter, Vincent Arthur right there as well. Remember, he was the leader when the pit stop cycled around. But then when that group of 3 reeled both he and Burcroft in, he kind of moved out of the way, dropped to the back, and might be trying to save his stuff here for the latter portions of this race as well. We are less than 30 laps away from this checkered flag. Everybody, for the most part, is rather spread out. We got a couple of battles here and there, but most everything is just nose to tail with drivers running in line.
Yeah, these guys are really on that point of conservation mode, and it's a lot sooner than what we've seen on the start of this green flag run. On that first stint that they were on, they were really battling it out pretty hard for about the first 20 to 25 laps. It was at around lap 30 and 31 when they finally all settled out. So I think these drivers have figured out, hey, it is time for us to settle down, save our stuff for the last about 10 laps. And at that point, we might be seeing a lot more passing going on.
Saw a side-by-side battle going on there for ninth between Tom Draling and Taylor Butcher. Benjamin coming into this race, still the points leader, so he still looks like he is going to be carrying those bonus points into the playoffs. It's now 52 points between himself and Chad Gunisman, but that 11 machine, while he's been consistent all year and he's atop the standings, he is still trying to find victory lane. And you look at the final 3 races here of the season. We've got the Daytona Road Course coming up next week, followed by Dover, the Concrete Monster Mile, and then a wild card race to cap off the regular season. Could very well be the most exciting race of the season in terms of the playoffs grid being put together, and that's at the Super Speedway section of Daytona International.
And Daytona is just another wild card, and it's going to be so fun to see who of the drivers will win that race, because there's so many different storylines that go down. You can have someone that's extremely outside the bubble win that race and get into the playoffs, or someone that's just on the brink of getting in win, or we can see the points completely get shuffled inside of that bubble that's already in. Here comes Ty McWhirter, who got a really good run off of 4 and a fantastic entry into turn number 1, now right on the back bumper of the 4 machine and bringing along the 24 and the 27.
Yeah, it was interesting. We talked to Brendan Burcroft last night after his win at Road America in regards to the Soda Guys Cup Series and, some of the races remaining that he was looking forward to. And he said Daytona International Speedway, the Super Speedway section, he was looking forward to that. I mean, who looks forward to that type of a race?
I mean, it's always fun. I mean, I'm honestly a Daytona Super Speedway guy who loves to see quick and close racing action and utilizing the draft and manipulating it in a way that it gives you the advantage to make passes. And it's so much fun just being so close to everyone and being on the brink of just any chaos happening.
And of course, as well, there's a lot of guys that are going to be heading into that race already locked in. So you can bet that some of these drivers, they'll be putting on their diplomatic suits going down through the garage area saying, hey, can I lobby for you to help me to be able to maybe win the race and get myself into the playoffs? But we still got 3 more races, including the conclusion of tonight, before we get to that point. And right now, it's 5 drivers to settle it out. You got Piscota in the lead, Burcroft in second, McWhirter third, Arthur fourth, and Collins in fifth. 3 out of the 5 are looking for their first win of the season,
which is insane to look at. And we said this at the start of the broadcast. Michigan was kind of another one of those wild card races where it's usually fuel mileage that gets you into a better run. As it looks like Piscotto went a little bit higher than Burcroft was expecting there. Almost got right on the back corner panel and almost spun that 9-car around.
And look at these guys back here. McWhirter in the 96, Arthur in the 24, Collins in the 27, now moving to the 4th position. These guys back here, at least the 27 and the 24, seem like they have definitely been saving their tires, but how long can you wait before you have to take those tires you've been saving and try and make some forward progress here?
I mean, I think that's why we were seeing Collins try to push forward, but he was running so low that he couldn't keep the momentum as Piscotto drifting high. This is exactly what we saw Arthur do earlier. Drifts up, lets them take that position, and goes back into just cruise mode for a little bit here until we get to those final laps.
So now Burcroft to the lead. Ty McWhirter will move to 2nd. Piscotto, Arthur, and Collins still back there as well. And as these guys are racing up here in the top 5, we've had a heck of a battle for 6th. They may be all by themselves, but Oscar Jensen, James O'Brien, they've been side by side at least 8 times in the last 2 laps.
I think it's every single race. Oscar Jensen is near someone all race long and continuously is battling. I don't think there has been a race where he's just been all by his lonesome for a good solid amount of time. He's always by someone. And honestly, due to the different shufflings that we've been seeing with this lead pack, we've been seeing these 2 drivers in 6th and 7th of Oscar Jensen and James O'Brien catching up slowly, and they are right on the heels of that draft on Dalton Collins.
And if they catch up, then not only will it be 3 of the 5 looking for their first win, but then we'd make it 5 of the 7 looking for their first win of the season, and you can clearly see that Jensen and O'Brien have reeled in the draft of the 27 of Collins and the 24 of Arthur. So it is a 7-car pack up here to battle it out for the win with 20 laps to go at Michigan.
Here's the problem, though. Ty McWhirter just got the lead, and he's starting to pull away from Burcroft. And Burcroft and Ty McWhirter are pulling away from Joseph Piscotto for 3rd. Then what we thought was going to be a 6-7 car battle for the lead might have just turned into a 2-horse race.
Now it's going to be, what will Burcroft be able to do with McWhirter? Will he be able to get side by side with him, or will he have to just ride in the tire tracks, as he spent a good portion of this last run trying to get around Vincent Arthur and then trying to get around Joseph Piscotto? So the question is, how much has he used up as the 77 of Ryan Strunk back on pit road again?
James O'Brien, I don't know where he got that energy from. He just pulled from back at 7th place up to 4th in 1 corner.
You want to look for someone that might be able to reel in the top 2? It might be that 15 car.
He's got 2 lap fresher tires than our lead lap crew, so he's got at least a slight advantage in that way. He's been just following suit of Oscar Jensen and every once in a while battling, but man, that was a huge launch. Passing 3 machines just in one fell swoop, now trying to get by the 9, and they are right now are 2.5 seconds back. They need to get by the 9 if they've got a faster car than him, because they are losing time quickly on our top 2.
Yeah, we saw how Piscotto, when he drifted up the racetrack there, lost a lot of momentum. The question is he holding up this group behind him potentially?
Oh, completely. Right now, Piscotto is running. I mean, they've got a bigger pack than these front 2, and they are running almost a full second slower than our front 2 at the moment. And here comes Dalton Collins as he will dive under the 15 as well as below the 9, getting onto the white line, making it 3 wide here for 3rd place.
Joseph Piscotto finds himself in a premium motorsports sandwich with Collins to driver's left, O'Brien to driver's right. Those 2 will clear him for the spots, and now Arthur looks there as well. Here comes the 21 of Justin Carey. He was back in 8th. All of a sudden, he's shooting up into the top 5.
That just shows how slow these guys have been running, because that whole entire last pack of cars that were back in 8th place, they've now caught up to here. This is just a huge second pack that's trying to catch up to our leaders as caution in the air.
Caution is out with less than 20 to go. It is the 88 of James Love, hard into the outside wall on the front straightaway.
And that all started on the entry of turn 3. He was wiggling there. He might have been wiggling even on the straightaway. That 88 machine did not look stable one bit during that whole entire lap.
So James Love, who was already a lap down, going to bring out this caution. And it looks like Greg Newsom, who was not able to make it on fuel, he was just barely ahead of Boyd Hogan when that caution came out. He is going to be the free pass machine. So 14 cars will be on the lead lap. But, I mean, this changes up everything now, because we were talking about the fact of who had saved, who had not. Now everybody does have a set of tires available down on pit road. We're going to be getting this restart with less than 15 to go. Now that you got what you got, you've got to go out there. You've got to muscle your way to the front.
So here's a car that's making things interesting. Chris Noble just went on pit road, same as Ryan Strunk, so they'll be able to use a wave around. Ryan Strunk will still be one lap down after that wave around. Greg Newsom should be getting the free pass here, and I believe he still has a fresh. No, it looks like Greg Newsom did come in 18 laps ago, so he is on the same tire strategy as everyone else. So that 3 machine will be on the same strategy, but I was about to say those 3 cars that made different moves earlier on that stayed out, which was Greg Newsom, Ryan Strunk, and I think it was Chris Noble. They were drivers I had my eye on to see what type of moves they were going to be able to make. Looks like they were not able to utilize having an extra set of tires for later on the run.
Wild slide there for James Love. We showed you there on the replay, and everybody on the lead lap is on pit road. This is what we'd call the money stop, Sam.
Yeah, this is it. You can't make any mistakes here, and we're going to have to wait and see how these drivers get through this, and it is going to be interesting to watch.
How about a drag race off pit road between the 4 of Burcroft, the 96 of McWhirter? From my vantage point, it looked like maybe the 96 got the 4, but the timing and scoring says it was Burcroft winning the battle off of pit lane.
Well, Seth, it's been a blast, and it looks like you're going to have to carry the rest of the show. We've got to go get prepared for our next stream after this.
Yes, we're pulling double duty here tonight. The conclusion of tonight's Soda Guys Cup Series race, rolling into the start of FTF's race at Road America. So, Sam, I know you got to head out. We'll be having that race going live momentarily, and as soon as we're done here with Soda Guys Cup Series, I'll be hopping over there and co-commentating at that road course. So, as Sam is now exiting the booth, and you guys can be sure to tune in here to Flatout Racing Network. That race is going green at 10:15. So be sure to tune in for that, but stick it here too. Run both streams side by side. Watch the finish here of tonight's race at Michigan, because this is going to be a doozy of a finish, as we're going to be going green somewhere, I think, in the region of about 12 to 13 laps to go. And then, of course, over there at Road America, there's going to be a lot of storylines there, as they're getting close to the end of their regular season as well, formulating their playoffs. And it's the first time that Flatout Racing Network has been broadcasting FTF since back at, I believe it was Irwindale on the 4th of July. So a lot of stuff has been happening there. Well, let's set it up. Who's running where for this restart? It's going to be Brendan Burcroft, your race leader. Ty McWhirter will be second. Vincent Arthur third. Dalton Collins in fourth. Justin Carey fifth. Sixth will be Oscar Jensen, Tom Draling seventh, eighth Taylor Butcher Benjamin, ninth is Ty Cole, Joseph Piscotta back in 10th, a bit of a lengthy pit stop for the 9 machine. Chad Gunisman will be 11th, 12th James O'Brien, that's another driver that had a slow pit stop. And 13th place will be Greg Newsom, followed by Chris Hansen, Boyd Hogan, Chris Noble, Spencer Tart, who are all on the lead lap, and Ryan Strunk will be the only car running that is a lap down. He will be in the 18th position. Now, the one reason why I stopped for a moment, that I'm a little bit confused, I believe that the 2, the 8, and the 10 car all took the wave arounds. I'm not certain. No, I guess Chris Hansen was on the lead lap. So, yep, we are where we need to be. So Boyd Hogan, 33 laps on his tires. Spencer Tart, 35 laps on his tires. We'll see what's going to happen with them. They're hoping for another caution here in these final 13 laps, as it's going to be Burcroft with Arthur on the bottom, McWhirter and Collins on the top side. Green flag back in the air. 13 to go here at Michigan. And we saw how wild the restarts were early on in this race. You can bet we're going to see 3, maybe 4 wide, and we're going to see some contact. Door banging between Burcroft and McWhirter going into turn 1. And now everyone's going to fan out. Here comes Vincent Arthur. He got to the left rear quarter panel of Burcroft. We're going 3 wide for the lead into turn 3. It's Burcroft in the middle. McWhirter up top side. Arthur to the lead. They're almost 4 wide coming off the corner as Arthur lets it slide up in front of McWhirter. McWhirter tries to cross him over. Here comes Justin Carey to the bottom of the 21. at the line. It was Burcroft leading that lap. And this is what we're going to see, the checkered flag. We've got about 14, 15 cars up here in the hunt for this checkered flag with the timing of that caution coming out with 20 laps to go. It's now go contact. Dalton Collins, a great save after Arthur nearly got into him. Right now it is going to be Burcroft on the top side, Kerry on the bottom. Arthur's going to push Burcroft to the lead. He is clear for the moment. Look at Tom trailing back there in the 42. Ty Cole in the 34. There's a bunch of guys up here that are still looking for their first win of the season as McWhirter takes a look to the inside of Vincent Arthur. He thought better of it as he was almost into the 24's left rear quarter panel. Kerry back to the inside, drives it deep on Brendan Burcroft for the top position. He's got Dalton Collins behind him. Then behind him's the 9 of Piscota. More contact, that time off of turn 2 between the 21 and the 4. And push comes to shove, someone's going to make a mistake. We're going to have a big wreck here momentarily. You just get the feeling, the energy in this lead pack. Something has got to give. And Collins, not going to give. He's going to try and take the race lead. He's got the inside line. Kerry is in the middle. Outside line is going to be the 4 of Brendan Burcroft, who's getting pushed by Ty McWhirter. Bottom side, you've got Piscota. He's pushing Dalton Collins. Ooh, Burcroft got close there to the side of the 21 of Justin Kerry as we're still side by side, 3 wide for the lead out of 2 down the back straightaway. And just look at how many cars we've got up here in the hunt. Someone's going to force it 4 wide, and it's going to be Piscota. He's looking 4 wide. He puts Collins in the middle. Ty Cole also a groove up from him, and Ty McWhirter way up on the top side as they get out of turns 3 and 4, fortunately without any contact. They'll make the contact at the front. Here comes Collins up the middle. He puts Piscota, or make that Burcroft to the top side. Kerry in the middle. So much action up here inside this lead pack, it's hard to call it all live. And now it's Collins who's going to clear for the race lead, but it's not over yet. Here comes Kerry, here comes Burcroft, here comes the bright yellow 42 of Tom Drayling up into the top 5, along with the 34 of Ty Cole. Oh, and there goes the 21 of Kerry, and the big one is going to happen. Car up into the catch fence and into the air. That's the 24 of Vincent Arthur. Caution is out. Closing in on 8 laps to go. At least 4, maybe 5 cars in this one. Kerry was involved. The 24, Vincent Arthur, visited all 3 levels of the catch fence. Ty Cole, I believe, got a piece of it in the 34. He's the one that got into the 21. And you just knew it was going to happen. You just had the feeling. They were racing too close, too aggressive. Someone was going to make a mistake. Someone was going to go for the same piece of real estate as somebody else. And unfortunately, of all places, the contact was made going into a corner. And sure as shooting, that spinning race car is going to come back up the racetrack into oncoming traffic. Caution is out. Now comes the question. I think most of these drivers still have one set of tires waiting for them on pit road. Who is going to take tires over track position? There's your answer. Joseph Piscota is in. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. Some cat and mouse. Collins goes in. Drayling goes in. But Piscota and Burcroft, along with Ty McWhirter, they're going to pull some fake pit, and they're going to stay out. Oh boy. The difference in tires for those pitting and those staying out is 8 laps. Is that enough for those drivers on the fresh tires to be able to capitalize on what is going to be a restart with less than 5 laps to go? As we're going to go back and look at the replay of what happened going into turn 3. And now all drivers running, I believe, prior to that caution, will be on the lead lap, as Ryan Strunk was the only car 1 lap down, and he is going to get the free pass. And we're going to see this here. Just watch the 21 and the 34. Ty Cole is going to swap lanes down to the inside, and I don't think Justin Kerry realized he was there. He spins off the nose of the 34. Oh, wow, there were some other drivers involved in this. The 3 of Greg Newsom, the 20 of Chris Hansen got a piece as well. And you want to see maybe the wildest ride of the evening. That would be one of our front runners all night long, the 24 of Vincent Arthur. Watch this. He was back behind where the initial contact was, and you'll see there's just nowhere for him to go. He's committed to the line he's in. Unfortunately for him, 34 overcorrects back into him, and oh wow, it's a shot from Gunnisman. Actually, Gunnisman went even further up in the air in the 22. And Vincent Arthur's car stuck in the safer barrier, but let's watch Gunnisman, who started on the outside of the front row. I think he went higher into the air. His car got caught up in the top of the catch fence. Watch this. He's the one that sent the 24 of Arthur up into the air, but then he goes even higher up. Look at that. Oh my goodness. And the car comes down on its roof. The rear tire's caught in the catch fence, and the roof of the car up on the safer barrier. We're going to take an onboard here with the 3 of Greg Newsom, who of course was a full-time driver down in the Rapid Fire Pizza Series, but due to scheduling changes in real life, jumped over here to running full-time in the Soda Guys Cup Series. Let's see what he saw. He's got the 24 in front of him. There's the contact there, and where do you go? There is nowhere to go. And there you see the 22 up into the catch fence. Is that the 15, James O'Brien? He was involved. I didn't realize that he was in it. And so that's, what, 6 or 7 drivers right there involved in this one. Lights are out atop the pace car. Your bed's been made, you gotta lie in it. We're going green with 5 laps to go. The top 4 drivers did not pit. Burcroft, McWhirter, Piscota, and Jensen. Highest driver on fresh tires is Dalton Collins in 5th with Drayling Benjamin Hogan, who's back on the lead lap now after taking the wave around. Chris Noble, who was the free pass car on the last caution, is going to be 9th. Chris Hansen's going to complete the top 10 as we are back green, and we're going to go 3 wide for the lead already going into turn 1. And here come the fresh tires. The 27 of Dalton Collins trying to find somewhere to take that momentum. Look at Piscota, going to block him. Collins has got to go somewhere, but he can't go anywhere. He's got the 4 to his outside. He's got the 42 behind him. He's got the 9 pinning him down to the inside line. Now Piscota pushes up off the corner, opens the door. 4 wide behind him. McWhirter. Here comes Hogan in the 2. He's the one in that 4 wide, and now the 4 wide again as Burcroft almost got into Tom Drayling. We may not be done with cautions. Look at the 8. Chris Noble up the middle. He's up to 2nd. Where in the world did he come from? He was a lap down about 30 laps ago. And now he's got a shot at this victory. He's jumping to the outside, now crosses the inside on Dalton Collins. Piscota right now on old tires holding the 3rd position as it's going to be Noble. Chris Noble out of Richard Childress Racing. He's going to lead. Oh, contact! From between top of the 9. He's going to spin. Caution will probably wave. It does not. No caution for the spinning Chris Noble. We're still green as the leader is now Dalton Collins, and we are 2.5 laps away from the finish, and we're back where we started. Collins and Hogan for the race lead, both drivers on fresh tires. Last week, it was Dalton Collins who got the best of Boyd Hogan in Indianapolis. Don't look now. Here comes Ty McWhirter in the 3rd position. He may have something to say about it. And Ryan Strunk. Ryan Strunk was 2 laps down about 20 laps ago, took a wave around, got the free pass on the last caution. He's up in 4th. Some of these drivers are going to have comeback finishes here today at Michigan. New leader, Boyd Hogan in the 2, gets around Dalton Collins. Here comes Michigan winner, looking for 2 Michigan wins in a row. That's Ty McWhirter in the 96. As this time by, we will see the white flag. It's 4 cars up in this lead pack, maybe 5 if you include the 47 of Oscar Jensen. Here comes Strunk. He's looking for 3rd on McWhirter. It's going to be a battle for the lead, though, with the white flag in the air between the 2 of Hogan, the 27 of Collins. Can Strunk get up here? Make it a 3-man fight as he clears for the 3rd position. Hogan going to do a lot of mirror driving. Here's Strunk getting a run out of turn 2. He looks to the inside on Collins. Collins throws the block. He's looking to make a move himself down here into turn 3. Strunk is there to the left rear quarter panel though. Hogan's going to move up to block Collins. Now we'll have to try and move low to block Strunk. Strunk may be there. If he is, he won't lift. Hogan blocking top, blocking bottom. He's going to hold him off, I think. Here comes the 27 to the inside as Boyd Hogan, avoiding the lap machine, will pick up his 9th win of the season in a nail-biter here tonight at Michigan International Speedway. What a crazy 5 last laps. Boyd Hogan has been involved in many finishes this season where he has come out on top, but maybe none other has he had to work for more than tonight's race. A driver who had some kind of issues around the halfway point, had to teleport to his pit stall, lost a lap, took the wave around 2 cautions ago, got the other caution with the spinning Justin Carey in turn 3, and then literally clawed his way through the field to win this one here tonight at Michigan. A driver who finished 2nd here in the first Michigan race after leading 79 of the 120 laps then. Here tonight, though, it was a come-from-behind victory for Boyd Hogan, and we don't say that very often. Normally, a lot of his wins are dominating performances. But how about some of these guys and their comeback finishes? Boyd Hogan with the win, who was a lap down in this race. Ryan Strunk was 2 laps down. He's going to finish in 2nd. 3rd place is going to be Dalton Collins, coming off another top 5 finish in his first 3 starts. Ty McWhirter is going to have great numbers here this season at Michigan. A win in the first Michigan race, a 4th here in the second Michigan race, and Oscar Jensen is going to bring it home with a top 5 run in the 5th position. I believe that is Oscar Jensen's 3rd top 5 of the season. A lot of those have been coming up in these past few weeks. Brendan Burcroft, who led us to the green for that final run, will bring it home in 6th. Taylor Butcher Benjamin in 7th. Spencer Tart is going to finish in 8th. That's another comeback finish for a driver that was a lap down early on in this one. Tom Drayling will be 9th, and Joseph Piscotto will finish in 10th. With Boyd Hogan winning here tonight, that means that nobody else moves up into a playoff spot with a win. Piscotto finishing in 10th. Remember, he was trying to chase down Vincent Arthur for the final playoff spot, was 5 points back. Well, Vincent Arthur visited the catch fence over in turn 3. He's going to finish 17th. So right now, heading into the Daytona road course, Piscotto would be in, Arthur would be out. And I don't know how Justin Carey was able to continue on with the damage he sustained after his spin in to turn 3 off the nose of Ty Cole, but he'll get 11th. Chris Hansen brings home 12th. Chris Noble, boy, he was up there in the lead. Contact between himself and Joseph Piscotto. He got spun around into the infield grass in the front straightaway and no caution to save him. He'll finish in 13th place with Ty Cole, the final driver to finish on the lead lap, in 14th. I believe the car that they all had to kind of dart and avoid coming off turn 4 to that checkered flag was the 3 of Greg Newsom, who finishes the only car a lap down in 15th. And then the rest of these other drivers finished out of the race. These 3, O'Brien, Arthur, and Gunisman, due to the wreck that we had there in the closing stages of this race over in turn 3. Jacob Shorba was fighting some internet connection issues, gets 19th. Larry Reed will finish in 20th. And Caden Rush and James Love will finish in 21st and 22nd. Actually, James Love finished in 19th. We've got a bit of a scoring error there for the 88. So Larry Reed actually finished 21st, and Caden Rush finished in 22nd place. We're going to now do a little bit of an expedited post-race interviews here with our top 3 finishers, but will be very interesting to find out their opinions of what they experienced in that final 5-lap shootout. Let's kick things off with last week's winner and 3rd place finisher here tonight, Dalton Collins. Hey, Dalton, it's Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got me?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, we saw you in victory lane last week at Indianapolis. Almost got it done here tonight at Michigan. You were up at the front all night long, but describe for me here those final 5 laps because it was difficult for me to be able to verbally say what I was seeing. What was it like being in the race car, being 3 abreast in so many areas of the track?
Oh man, yeah, man, the racing here is unbelievable. I mean, you have the downforce package and stuff, but I mean the draft is so strong, but provides crazy racing. And we were 3 and 4 wide, multiple times. I believe I was at one point. So, man, I mean it's definitely nerve wracking. I mean you really got to be on your stuff when you're 3 and 4 wide like that for multiple laps at a time, and yeah, I mean, it's definitely difficult to do, but if you got the right set of people out there, you can get it done.
Yeah, we know that obviously everybody it looked like was going to be good to go on fuel when we had that cycle of green flag pit stops. Were you on the spectrum of maybe hoping we had the late race cautions, have everybody bunched up, or were you looking to have this thing go green to the checkers?
Oh, I was wanting to go green. I was actually good to the go. I was about maybe a lap and a half, I think 2 laps to the good. So I was definitely wanting to go green, but from what I'm hearing, there was some controversy around that yellow. But hopefully the league admins will do the right thing, make the right decision. But yeah, I was definitely wanting to go green. Didn't really want to see that yellow, and if anybody was looking at the times, you can definitely tell we were all like hoping that something would happen. I mean, not for me, but um, yeah, it was really fun race all the way around.
Well, Dalton, obviously, this is only your third start of the season, but your numbers so far have been exceptional. Of course, that trip to victory lane at Indianapolis. So you've got some great momentum here for the final 3 races of the regular season as you're trying to get yourself up there with that momentum into the playoffs. We're going to let you do some shout outs now.
Yeah, man. Big thanks to Boyd Hogan for working on these cars over at Legacy Sports. Taylor Burris, uh, Curtis Sawyer, all those guys over there. Give a shout out to Sawyer. Haven't seen him in a while, but hopefully he's going to be back on track soon. But yeah, just thanks to them, Bobby Earnhardt, a Bruzy, Butt Kicker, all those guys. So really appreciate them. I support STR. If anybody wants to be up to date on what's going on in the short track world, looks up I support STR on Facebook. Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Just trying to get in this playoffs, get some points going, and yeah, this is definitely not the last time you're going to see Big DC from Bad Street, Tennessee. This is whenever there's action around, Big DC is always close behind. So not the last time you're going to see any type of racing like this from me.
Well, that's Dalton Collins. He brings his own P3 here tonight. Congrats on a great run, continuing momentum. We look forward to seeing what you can do and maybe talking to you next week when we go to the road course configuration of Daytona.
Yeah, man, we'll see. Appreciate it.
And let's get our second place finisher, Ryan Strunk. Ryan, it's Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got me?
I got you. You got me?
I definitely do. Well, I mentioned that a lot of drivers here today had some come from behind finishes, struggling early on, but being able to salvage amazing finishing results. And I think maybe no more so than you here tonight. You ended up rolling the dice early on. You decided not to take tires. We saw you fade to the back. You had to come to pit road a couple of times under the green flag runs, fell 2 laps down. Then you end up taking a wave around. You get the lucky dog. Next thing we know, we see you crossing the line in second place. I mean, what was that like from the cockpit point of view? The struggles you had to do here tonight to be able to come out with a podium finish.
Let me tell you, when I didn't take those 4 tires, you could just throw the anchor out the back. But we here at Spire and RCR, we uh we tried to kind of save our tires, play a little strategy there, and that's why we all just fell back there. But then that last second to last green flag pit stop, man, it just the fuel just didn't get in the car. I don't know what happened there. So we wound up having to come down again, putting us another lap down, and I thought that was our race right there. And guys just got racing hard up in the front and got together, and we were able to reap the benefits there. And I was honestly looking forward to the win, but second place, I'm from Michigan, so this is a home track for me. So a second place run is just awesome.
That obviously makes it all the more the sweeter. We obviously have been following, the past couple of weeks, drivers' momentum heading into the playoffs. We know you're already locked in on points, But it seemed like the last couple of weeks, the 77 team's been struggling, not having the best of luck. Is this, do you think, a turnaround heading towards the latter stages of this regular season?
Yeah, for sure. We just expanded to the 3 and the 8, so we got 3 teams working together. We got a lot of really good people working, and it's just a formula for success. I would really like to thank FSM Customs, button box manufacturer. They really do a lot for the series and for the team. Uh, Z's Custom Diecast is a big sponsor of ours. Strunk PC, and definitely the Soda Guys for putting the show on. Awesome run. Congratulations to Boyd Hogan. And how about that 8 car taking the lead there for a second? I think I seen him up there. They were all racing real hard.
Yeah, it took me by surprise. I was like, where did he come from? But that's Ryan Strunk. He brings it home P2 here tonight after an unbelievable 5-lap shootout and a long road to get there. So congrats on a great run. Go enjoy it. And congratulations on a great run at your home track as well.
Oh, yeah, we're going to be drinking some beer tonight, guy.
And let's get Boyd Hogan up here, who I believe is still celebrating down in Victory Lane. Boyd, it's Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, I mentioned this after you took the checkered flag that in the races we've seen you go to Victory Lane in since we started broadcasting, I think maybe no more so did you have to work for one any more than here tonight. You found yourself a lap down. You ended up taking the wave around. That caution came out. You restarted in 8th place. Talk about that front to the fight, or that fight to the front, if I can say the words correctly.
Man, I didn't think I was gonna be talking to you guys. I'll be honest. I thought we were done, man. We so when I ran out of gas going down the back, I got told, by our sim racing apps here that I was a lap or I still had a lap of fuel left and it ran out going down the back. So that put us a lap down, had to tow. The boys on the crew came out, gave us a push, took about 45 seconds, riding around a lap down. And then I see the damnedest thing. James Love in the 88 car. I always knew I loved this car for a reason, man. I don't know what happened. It looked like he was just swatting the same wasp I was here like 20 laps before. It was crazy. So he junked it. We took the wave around, was hoping for another yellow. We got it. That was huge. I saw Chad in the air at one point. That was awesome. I mean, it sucks for Chad. He works pretty hard on these cars, but it looked cool. And then, it was just, I think 3 to go, 4 to go. I was like 4 wide up on the top. I didn't think we were surviving to it, but it was a hell of a run.
Definitely was. It was difficult for me to be able to call because we were seeing 3 wide and 4 wide. Did you think that maybe there on that final 5-lap run we hadn't seen our last caution?
Oh, absolutely. I thought I was going to be part of the next one. They were getting so aggressive and everybody's so bunched up over, the first 5 or 10 laps of a run here. I'll be honest with you, Seth. I hate this place. I can't stand it. And the package is a big reason why. These restarts are so hectic and it gets wild, man. It's entertaining to watch, but it is painful to race.
Well, I mean, obviously, as you said, you didn't expect to be talking to us, and we were kind of wondering what happened to you on the back straightaway there. And so we are able to get that little bit of information with you winning here tonight as well. So it's a little bit of a plus for us to be able to document that as well. But your 9th win of the season. We've got some more tracks coming up here that are kind of being considered wild card races. We've got the road course of Daytona, we've got the Monster Mile of Dover, and then of course the Daytona Super Speedway to cap things off here in the regular season. The momentum that you've got right now, though, I mean, does that just give you the freedom to go out there and be as aggressive as you are, trying to get up there, get these wins, and subsequently get these playoff points?
Yeah, for sure. The only thing I'm really focusing on has been playoff points, and I check up on the points every couple weeks or so just to see how much ground I've made up on Taylor. But I mean, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get to the points lead. So we're just trying to come out, win as many races as we can, score as many points as we can, and see where it all ends up. I'm not too great at road racing on the sim, but working with the Coke guys here the past week or so, I've gotten used to the Daytona road course a little bit. I think we'll be okay there. And then Dover, you guys saw, it was a show earlier this year, and I'm sure it will be again. I'm excited going back there, and Daytona, it's gonna be a crapshoot for sure. So it's definitely getting ready for the playoffs and trying some stuff, and we'll see where we end up.
Well, obviously, for both commentator and driver, unbelievable last 5 laps there, and you're the one that comes out on top after wild action in those final 20 laps. We're going to let you do some shout outs now, Boyd.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I got to thank Judd at Abruzzi. Spent half the day talking to him about some stuff we got going on, so a lot of love for Judd. Everybody on Bob Earnhardt's Legacy Esports, there's a lot of work that goes in these cars each and every week, and it's a lot of fun to come out here on Saturdays and showcase what we've been working on, and try out different packages, and it's always good to have an answer for something, and luckily I got a good enough team around me to where I can do that. Rogue Energy, everybody on Slip Angle, Oculus Glasses, Butt Kicker, Austin Derbyshire. I don't know if you noticed the black and orange paint. There was a new one tonight. Looked badass, so I got to thank Austin for that. He's always got some nice cars for me to roll out in. Got to thank Steve. I was a lap down for half the race, and I'm still hearing you guys in the background. So, his support means everything to me. And James Love, man. James Love, thank you. We got win number, what is it, 8, 9?
Win number 9 on the
Win
year
number
here.
9, dude. James, you're the man. Thank you so much for wrecking there. Thanks to Dalton Collins. I mean, it was a team effort there at the end for sure. I was sitting there pushing him as long as I could, and then the car was gonna blow up if I pushed him any longer, and it was gonna come down to the straightaway there again, same way as what it did at Indy. But it's good to see Ryan Strunk came through and finished second, and good run for that crew. So yeah, that's everybody, man. Got to thank everybody makes it happen. You guys obviously for putting on the show, and everybody that helps out. Jacob Schorber running the league. So the guys, everybody there.
Well, the Ford Motor Company is just down the street in Detroit, Michigan, so it seems only fitting that a Ford Mustang goes to victory lane here tonight, and it's Boyd Hogan picking up his league-leading 9th win of the season. Congrats on a great run, well-deserved after the hardships you had there in the midway point. Go enjoy it.
Thank you, sir.
And that's going to conclude our coverage here tonight for the Soda Guys Cup Series from Michigan. Going to be wrapping this one up a little bit quickly here as we're going to be heading on over. Sam has already headed over. He's getting things set up as FTF is going to be running their race at Road America. And I'm going to be hopping over and helping him with co-commentary. But what an insane final 20 laps and an even crazier final 5 laps leading up to that checkered flag. Boyd Hogan is your winner here tonight at Michigan. Next week, these drivers will be road course racing at the Daytona International Speedway, running the same track that the Rolex 24 cars drive, and that should be a lot of fun. It is the first time that we've been at a road course since all the way back in June when we ran in the west coast of Sonoma and wine country. But thank you all for tuning in to tonight's race. If you have not gotten your fill of sim racing broadcasts, tune in just moments from now. We're going to be going live from Road America for the FTF Cup Series, the FTF Grand National Series presented by Splash and Go Graphics. But for Samuel Dyer, I'm Seth Cole. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Hopefully we'll see you over at FTF as you've been watching another broadcast this evening courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network.